And welcome back to the channel where we talk about only good comics. I'm Brant, and this is Friday First. This is that series where we talk about those brand new number one issues, new character debuts, new story arcs, and the like. And this is 4 books that are coming out on October 16th, 2024. So, this is episode 54 of the show. If you missed it a couple of weeks ago, I had a big live celebration of 1 year of consistently doing the show. Had my good friend Kat Comic Uno on with me, and we had a good time. So go check that out. But now we're here, got a little bit of a new look. I'm sporting the no hat look today because I just shaved my head and I didn't want it to get all sweaty and stuff. So you got to deal with looking at my chrome dome and the glare and maybe you see the reflection of what I'm looking at. I don't know. I'm making a lot of bald jokes because I don't usually do videos with no hat on. So it's a rare treat. Just because I don't want to get all, Anyway, so all that aside, we've got a lot of books to talk about this week. No huge number one issues coming out this week, but I still have 13 books to talk about. That includes 5 honorable mentions though. So a little bit of a lighter field this week, but I do have 5 books from last week that I've already read that I can talk about a little bit, including that big book. You know what I'm talking about. So we'll talk about all of that, do the regular format. Hope you enjoy this. If you like this content, I'll say it again at the end of the show, but go check out the rest of the content on the channel. Onlygoodcomics.com will take you right to my YouTube channel, or at onlygoodcomics on TikTok, where I do shorts. And people seem to like them there, so go check them out. I have fun doing those. All right, so let's get into the recaps. The books I'm going to recap this week from last week's firsts are Terminator issue 1 from Dynamite. We've got Murder Kingdom issue 1 from Mad Cave. We've got Sentinels number 1 from Marvel. And then we've got Action Comics 1070, which is DC All In, starts that new weekly story arc. And Absolute Batman number 1, also from DC, of course. All right, so we'll start with Terminator issue number 1. This is by Declan Shalvey. I don't recall the artist. No, that's the letterer. Maybe Shalvey did the art too. I don't remember. Also, there was a backup story by Sal from Comic Pop in this issue as well. So I'm not Terminator's not my go-to franchise, but I do enjoy it. I jumped on to the Terminator franchise with T2, and from there on, I went back and watched the first one. Really enjoyed it. My favorite installment in the entire franchise is Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles. The TV show that lasted 2 seasons, should have gone on to continue more. Lena Headey, Decker, I can't remember his first name, and Summer Glau. I had Brian Austin Green in it for a bit, some other fantastic actors. It was a great show, and all of those people went on to do other great things as well, but canceled way too soon. Love that series. Anyway, so going into this, I'm like, I've read Terminator comics in the past. I don't know what I'm gonna, how I'm gonna feel about it, if I'm gonna like it or not. But I actually really did, and it's an interesting story. I have no context. I don't know if this is, following off of something. I think maybe they left it a little open-ended, so you could kind of get pulled into the story and what these characters are, why they're there. But you have this old couple who are living out on the lake, and you learn throughout the story that they've been evading a Terminator for about 40 years, almost 40 years, I think it was. It was 1979 when they went into hiding, in 2018 when he finds them. And that's how we started. He rises out of the lake, and they have to go into action. They have to burn this box and try to escape. But the build up to it, kind of this narration by the man talking about he doesn't know why this guy's after them, what's going on, and you don't really know why they are running from him or what they're hiding or what they have to burn. We're going to learn that, I guess, as the series unfolds. But it was a really strong opening, and I love the way it was set up. It reminded me of everything Terminator. The narrative of most Terminator content is very similar to that, whereas you have this you establish where they're at now, and then something goes crazy, and then you have to kind of rewind and walk your way back up to the present. And that's kind of a standard format for the Terminator franchise, and it's done really well here, as it always is. Well, not always, but as it often is. So I really enjoyed this lead story quite a bit. So I'm going to continue reading this, much to my surprise, pleasant surprise. So I'm really happy about that. As far as the backup story, it was only 2 pages, and the first page, because it's continued, it's broken up between the issues. So the first page is just your typical Terminator appears in the bubble, walking through town naked, all that stuff. And then the second one, the second page is where you get a little bit of the action, but there wasn't enough of it to know if I like it or not yet. I'll reserve judgment on that until I've read the entire backup, because it's kind of hard to judge on 2 pages, especially when one was just, no dialogue and just that. So I really only have 1 page to go on here. But congrats to Sal for landing the gig. I think that's really cool. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what his story entails going forward. All right, next up we have Murder Kingdom, issue 1 from Mad Cave. This is written by Fred Van Lente with art by Chris Panda and letters by Becca Carey. All fantastic creators. So this story is about, and we don't really get that full sense in it in this first issue. We do know this from the description, though, that it's taking place in this theme park that is very fantasy themed, but they can't. It's kind of funny. There's a little comedy because they're like, we can't call it, we can't call you Sleeping Beauty because another corporation owns that, so you are Briar Rose, and that kind of thing. So it's kind of comical in that way. But you have this young person who's working there supposedly temporarily, thinks they're going to make it a full-time gig, but then something happens and they're like, nah, I'm done with this place, and they try to leave. But because they had a star quit on them, kind of do a meltdown that trended on social media, now she has to step in and take that place, and that's kind of where things start to fall apart. There's a symbol that they give you. You put your arms in the shape of an L if you're in trouble, because you can't speak, you can't break character. It's the rules of the park and all of that kind of stuff. And one of her friends does, because something bad has really happened, and that kicks off our murder mystery, because now all her friends are getting picked off, and she's now stuck in this park as well. So it's really interesting kickoff to the series. I love this kind of thing. I love the setup for it, and I had a lot of fun with it. So I'll definitely recommend this one, and I'm definitely going to keep reading Murder Kingdom from Mad Cave. Sentinels issue 1 from Marvel. This looked interesting to me. It gave me vibes of like G.I. Joe, that kind of thing going into it. But it because it's set within the Marvel universe, dealing with mutants and all of that, you've got familiar faces. You've got Trask, not Bolivar, but I think it's his son, is involved with this as well. He's leading the program, and they basically figured out how to turn the Sentinel tech into kind of this techno-organic virus in a way. Not the techno virus in Marvel, but a technological virus. They kind of bond it to these people, usually like they were soldiers or they're down on their luck. They find them in, down and out places. They've been injured, whatever, and they give them a second lease on life, right? But at the cost of bonding with this thing that, as we see in this issue, could do very bad things to them. But it does, if it's handled right, if they take all their enhancers, their stabilizers, all that kind of stuff, it gives them enhanced abilities, and they're able to do their job. But they're basically tracking down, rogue mutants. And the first mission is to take down Omega Red. For trained people, but not on the level of an Omega Red, going up against Omega Red doesn't really go as planned. Things go sideways. I thought because you had to set up what was going on, you had to give us a lot of information. It was a little bit slow at parts, but I like the overall vibe of it. I don't know if this is something that's going to keep my attention going forward, but I thought it was a decent enough start that it hooked me enough to read an issue 2. Whether I continue beyond that, we'll see. Next up, we have Action Comics, issue 1070, the first issue of the DC All-In era. This also starts the weekly series and has the Supergirl backup story in it. So this is Mark Waid and Clayton Henry on the main story, Mariko Tamaki and Skylar Patridge on the backup story. Both phenomenal creative teams, great art throughout, and both stories are pretty solid, right? So the first story is about Superman dealing with this escapee from the Phantom Zone. It's like these 3 Kryptonians merged into one being, and they're going berserk. They're in a berserker rage like Wolverine. They can't control themselves, and they're too much for even Superman and Supergirl together, so they have to go to extreme measures. I won't spoil what that is, but that kind of sets them on this whole course to send Superman into the Phantom Zone alone to try to figure out what the heck is going on. And that's basically it. Most of the issue was a fight, them trying to figure out how to dispose of this threat, and trying to kind of keep everybody calm in the process, because very bad things could have happened, potentially happen, and we don't know what's to come with the Phantom Zone as well. So the backup story is Supergirl World of Tomorrow. She's like on some kind of secret mission. She's erasing the memory of her interacting with everybody, with Steel, with Power Girl, with various characters in this. Sorry, my nose keeps itching. Allergies. So that's kind of where we're at. It's really a lot of setup, but I like the way that it was done. I like the way the story was told. The art's really nice. The pacing was really solid. So again, not much to go on, but I did enjoy what I read. So definitely on board for this. While it's going to hurt, but my pleasure is going to be enhanced by reading this. I guess that's the way to say that. That was weird. All right, so finally we have Absolute Batman, issue 1, the long-awaited first book of the Absolute universe. This is by Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta, however you pronounce it. But this is the telling of this version of Batman that grew up very differently than the main DCU's Bruce Wayne. He grew up without like all the money and all the fame. His dad was like a teacher. His mom was, I think she was a nurse or something. The murder of his parents the murder of a parent took place at a zoo instead of in an alley. All this stuff, it just happened very differently, but the result was the same, in that Bruce Wayne trained himself, took all these jobs to learn the city inside and out so he could be the city's protector. In the meantime, the authorities don't like it. The politicians don't like it. Rival corporations don't like it. All this stuff, and they're out to stop this Batman. Very interesting start to this series. Interesting take on Bruce Wayne. I kind of like this because also he has some very colorful friends, in that they are people that you wouldn't normally associate Bruce Wayne with. There's like this tight-knit group of friends, and most of them are villains that we know in the main DCU, which is really kind of interesting to see how that's going to play out, if they are all on the side of angels now, or if they're all, kind of anti-heroes, or what the case may be. It's very interesting. I like it. I like it so far. I don't care about the symbol and the thing. This is a different universe. Who cares? I don't really give a crap about that. But what I do care about is an enjoyable story, an interesting take on a popular character, and I think this did everything right in that regard, and it's got me interested to see where this version of Bruce Wayne goes from here. So that is it for all those recaps. So now we're going to get into the books that are coming out next week. All right, we're going to start with our first honorable mention, which is Crypt of Shadows, issue number 1. This is written by Benjamin Percy and Chris Condon and Jason Liu and Steve Orlando. So presumably a lot of stories in here. We got an All Hallows Eve story in here as well. I don't know that I'm going to get this, but it is the right time of the year for this. Could be fun. I may have even talked about this book on this show before. Maybe it got delayed. I don't remember. It seems familiar. But if this is your thing, go check out Crypt of Shadows. Next up, we have an interesting concept from IDW. This is written by this is The Exorcism at 1600 Pin, issue number 1. This is by the writer Hannah Rose May, who wrote Rogues Gallery, which was a book I really enjoyed. So I definitely wanted to shout out this book, give it an honorable mention. I don't know if it's necessarily my thing, but I definitely want to make you aware of this writer's work, because Rogues Gallery was phenomenal, and definitely a writer to keep your eyes on. It's also with art by Vanessa R. Del Rey, who did Scarlet Witch, so it's going to be gorgeous art as well. But the concept is it's a 4-issue miniseries, and it's supernatural horror. And it says if you're a fan of Haunting of Hill House or Nice House on the Lake, and now they're kind of swaying me because I wasn't going to get this, but I like both of those things. So I really like the creative team as well. So now I'm kind of being swayed to do this. But anyway, the first woman president of the United States has been elected. Her name's Kelly Doyle. Political tension is going crazy. So that's kind of why I'm not huge into political content in my comics. Unless there's like another interesting story around it. But they're trying to prevent World War III and all this stuff. And then this demonic presence, makes itself known. 1600 pin, the address of the White House, all that kind of stuff. So again, very much in the holiday season that we're in, October, Halloween coming up. So if that is your thing, if this concept sounds interesting to you, or like me, you really like the creative team, you might want to check this one out. Next up is Jupiter's Legacy Finale, issue number 1. This is Mark Millar's Millarworld series. Got one season of a TV show on Netflix. We got Tommy Lee Edwards on the art. I'm guessing this is the finale of this story, and this is how it's all going to end. It says the superheroes have been trapped and murdered on an alien world, while the enemies of Earth, who have been watching our planet with envious eyes, launched their invasion. Now there's no one to protect it. And this is the return of their series for an epic and shocking finale. So I haven't really read any of Jupiter's Legacy. I actually really liked the show, and I wish it had gotten more than the season. I thought it was a really fun show. It took me a couple episodes to get into it, but once I did, I really enjoyed it. But I never got into the comics. I think I may have read 1 or 2 issues of various miniseries here and there. But I just, for whatever reason, I never got into that one. And it was before I was reading everything Millarworld. So I don't have like the history with this particular series, but if you do, definitely want to check this one out. This is from Dark Horse. Next up, we have Medieval Spawn. I don't know if Mike Spiderslayer from Comic Book Corner 2.0 and our shared show, Comic Book Weekly, reads Medieval Spawn or likes Medieval Spawn at all, but I know he likes Spawn. So I always try to include a new Spawn book on this list, in honor of him. So in honor of him and in honor of Spawn fans everywhere, miniseries premiere. And this is Medieval Spawn, issue 1. It says, before Medieval Spawn was torn from the past and stranded in this far future, he was a savage warrior battling across a cold and deadly landscape. So this is taking place back then. You got wizards, you got hell knights and monsters and all of that kind of stuff. Again, very in the moment here. So, and then this last honorable mention is one I'm pretty sure I talked about a couple weeks ago. I guess it got delayed as well, but because it is supposedly now coming out, I definitely want to make this, make this a mention here and make you aware of it. This is Ryan Parrott's new mini-series from Boom Studios called Vicarious. And it's about a 20-something guy named Justin who is desperate for human connection. He has this dangerous encounter, and during this encounter, an opportunity is open, and there's this secret world of proxies, young, pretty, ambitious hustlers like himself who allow the rich to access their feelings and experiences through a technological implant. So very interesting. I'm always down for Ryan Parrott's writing. He won me over with Power Rangers, and just fantastic writing, fantastic writer. So I definitely want to shout this one out. And if you are a fan of Ryan Parrott as well, or you like that concept, go check out Vicarious. All right, now we're getting into those ranked books. So first up, we have Local Man, issue number 25. This is a brand new story arc for the series. It says Images of Tomorrow. Third Gen is back with a vengeance. And yeah, we're jumping from issue 13 to 25. And it looks like we're also jumping a year in the future to pick up this this series. And I guess he's putting back on the costume, I should say. And it says the past, present, and future of the Image universe collide hard in Local Man 25. And in the flip side story, we've got a corporate retreat at Third Gen HQ that leads to volleyball. So yeah, I like the series. It's not my favorite series on the stands, but I do enjoy it quite a bit. It's just kind of one of these guilty pleasures for me. And I'm the only one of my friends that have stuck with this series through thick and thin. But for whatever reason, there's something about it that just appeals to me. Maybe it's the nostalgic vibe of it. Whatever the case may be, I'm low key excited for this to come back and see what they do with the year jump and see how he gets back in the costume. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a potentially good. Next up, we have Eternal Warrior issue number 1. This is also listed on this website, which is leagueofcomicgeeks.com, as Eternal Warrior Resurgence issue 1. I think it's the same book. This is a Resurgence tie-in. It's also the first issue of Eternal Warrior, introducing Kagan, a new villain, rises from the Ask of Ancient. I think that means ashes. That's probably a typo. Ashes of Ancient Rome, maybe? I don't know. This is by Fred Benlente with art by Alvaro Papagianni. Sorry if I totally mispronounced that. But anyway, if you are enjoying Resurgence at all, and you plan on picking up all of these, I definitely want to make you aware of this coming out. I don't know if I'm going to pick up this one or not. Eternal Warrior has never been my favorite character. Resurgence was just... I didn't feel like it blew me away. I did feel like it was interesting, but I was hoping for a little bit more. And I did like the series that had all of the... I can't think of what the name of it was, but had all of the siblings, the 3 brothers and the sister together. And I talked about it recently on the show a few weeks ago. Also from Valiant, but Eternal Warrior by himself has never been one of my favorite characters, so I don't know if I'm going to pick this one up or not. But I'm going to give it a potentially good either way. And let me know if you do pick it up and if it was worth the read. Next, we have Batman and Robin Year 1, and this is by the team of Mark Waid and Chris Samney, who did one of my favorite Daredevil runs of all time. Fantastic creative team together. Chris Samney is a great artist. Very unique style to his art. I think he also did that Robert Kirkman book. God, why is the name of that book? I read the entire thing, and it's for some reason Firepower. Jeez, wow. Anyway, so these two together, I'm always paying attention to that. Obviously, we're diving into Year 1 of the Batman and Robin situation. There's a connection to Two-Face, and they're out for answers. So if you like Year 1 stories, if you like Batman and Robin, you might want to check this out. If you like Waid and Samney together like myself, this is one to pay attention to. I'm going to give this one a promisingly good just based on the creative team alone. And hopefully it is a really fun read. Next up is one that I'm a little bit on the fence on, which is Mystique issue 1. This is written and illustrated by Declan Chauvet. So I like Chauvet's writing. I like Chauvet's art. It's a good combination. And I like Mystique. But at the same time, there's so many X books and you can only read so many. It's a first issue though, so I'm probably going to try it. Hopefully it really does something different. It looks like, Mystique has had her hand in a lot of things throughout history, very complicated past. Motives change from left and right. She's a hero, she's a villain, she's in between, she's this, that, she's going, losing her mind and can't put all her memories back together, doesn't know who she is anymore. All this stuff has happened to Mystique, like within the past year. But throughout the history of the character as well. So that's kind of been her thing. You really don't know. Basically, Mystique is out for Mystique, and whatever gets her gets her what she wants is which side she lands on, typically speaking. But now Nick Fury has stumbled upon this web of lies and espionage that leads him back to Mystique. And now, so you have Mystique going up against Nick Fury, and then, you know, that it's interesting, especially if Nightcrawler makes appearances, which I don't know if he does or not, but that would be interesting because their relationship has really, hit some interesting points in the past, couple of years. So I'm curious about it. I'm not excited about it, but I am curious about it. So I am going to give it a possibly good. Again, Declan Shalvey is a very good creator. So it's not that, it's just whether I'm going to get into a Mystique story when she's, by herself. We'll see. Next, we have Moon Knight, Fist of Konshu, issue number 1. Mark Spector's back from the beyond. Jed MacKay's new leg of this Moon Knight journey. A brand new series means a brand new story arc for the character. Jed MacKay has been doing a phenomenal job with Moon Knight, and I don't see any reason why this one will be different. It says, to the ignorant, his fate beyond death's grasp may seem idyllic, but being chosen as the Fist of Konshu comes with a heavy cost, and like bones in a street fight, Mark Spector and the multitudes he contains may be about to break. So it looks like everything that he's been through this entire run is hitting a breaking point, and we're going to see those multiple personalities maybe come into conflict. I don't know exactly how this is going to play out, but it's going to be really fun ride because Jed MacKay on Moon Knight is just gold in my opinion, and I'm giving this one a positively good. Next up, and for the rest of this ranking countdown, whatever you want to call it, these are all the DC All-In kind of rebrand, kicking off new arcs, whatever. This one is Titans issue number 16, A League of Their Own. This follows Absolute Power, and their failure to control Amanda Waller has lasting consequences on the hero community, possibly, and we're going to see how the Titans deal with that, because now we have a Justice League Unlimited. The Titans weren't able to, step up as much as they tried to. So we'll see what happens. This is written by John Layman with art by Pete Woods. So you've got a classic creative team here. So the cover looks really nice. I'm curious about the story, and this will determine whether I continue on with Titans, I think. With a brand new creative team, new direction, all that kind of stuff. We'll see what happens with it, but I'm excited to try it. So I'm going to give this one a promisingly good. Continuing with DC All-In, we have Wonder Woman number 14. Unlike Titans, this remains with Tom King. Tom King's still writing it, and we have Danielle Sampier on the art. Danielle Sampier is a phenomenal artist, and Tom King, say what you will, but his Wonder Woman run, for the most part, has been really good, in my opinion. I've really enjoyed it, so I'm excited to continue his exploration of the character. It says it's Steve Trevor's last stand and the birth of a hero. It looks like Steve is taking matters into his own hands, and it could be the beginning of Diana's greatest adventure yet, and the birth of Trinity. So really interesting there. We've been seeing a lot about Trinity lately with backup stories and different things. So now I guess that comes to full head here. We've got 40 pages for $4.99. I'm excited for it. And I'm looking forward to it. So I'm giving this one also a promisingly good. And lastly, we have Green Lantern issue number 16, also remaining with Jeremy Adams writing and Zermanico on the art. Yeah. And this book has just been really good. I mean, I can't say enough about it. Green Lantern, Jeremy Adams. Jeremy Adams is a really strong writer and just really gets these DC characters especially. And I've really enjoyed it so far. I have not had a chance to read the Green Lantern Corps special, so I don't know if that gives us clues to where this series is going forward. So I'm not going to read too much into this, but we do know we're getting Hal Jordan, John Stewart, and Guy Gardner in this issue as they're racing to unlock the mystery of the Dark Star's resurrection. And also, we learned something about Kilowog here. And is there hope for Kilowog? Can Kilowog come back from this somehow? And Mogo rains down on our heroes as the Civil War heats up. So that's going to be interesting that Mogo is coming against our heroes. Jeremy has been doing a fantastic job with the series, and I don't see any reason why that will not continue. So I am giving this one a positively good. And that's it for all of next week's first issues. I've got a few more I'm going to talk about. You know how I do this. So we've got 8 other books. 2 of them are kind of the same, but we'll get to that. So first up, we have Multiverse Collision Detected issue number 3. The first 2 issues were really fun. And that's all I'm looking for from this one. It's just fun. The cover for issue 3 is an homage to the classic Superman cover where he's lifting the car, but in this time it's Scooby-Doo's Mystery Machine. So that's fun. And we've seen Bugs Bunny in here. Now we're getting Scooby-Doo. We saw a little bit of a glimpse of Steven Universe and some other characters. So it's a tie into the video game. I don't know much about the video game, but this story is just a lot of fun. And if you want something you don't have to take too seriously, you don't have to read into, you don't need continuity, and you just want to have a good time, this is one series to check out. And then there's Flash Gordon issue number 3. The first 2 issues were really good. This is written by Jeremy Adams, who I was just giving praise earlier, with art by Will Conrad. Jeremy Adams is just such a good character writer and really a good plot writer as well. Just really good writer. Writes stories that I'm enjoying, I'm having fun with. A mix of drama and action and a little bit of, not in this book, but a little bit of humor where it's needed and this and that. So where we're at with Flash Gordon, he's on planet Death. He's having to fight for his freedom, but there's a plot against him. He's being used and all this stuff. So who's going to live? Who's going to die? Is he going to escape? All this stuff. And he's racing against time too, because something's happening that he's got to prevent from happening. And so it's been a fun ride so far. Next up, we have Radiant Black issue 30 and issue 30.5. Still doing the 0.5 issues for now, but this is the end of the story arc. This is the conclusion to the Cataclysm War. We finally are at the end of this. It's been a long road for this story, for this book, but I'm excited to see what comes next. So I'm excited for the end of this so we can get past that and hopefully get us back on those personal stories with Marshall and Nathan that made me fall in love with the series in the first place. Then we have, speaking of endings, Destro issue number 5. It's the end of the mini-series. Destro, Cobra Commander, the Crimson Twins, the Energon universe is in full effect. All these forces are at war, and this is the road to G.I. Joe issue number 1 ending here. So next up after this is G.I. Joe. So I can't be more excited as a huge G.I. Joe fan. Just so excited for that series, and can't wait to see how this one ends and how it leads into the larger series ahead. Next is the Domain issue number 4. I just read earlier today Public Domain issue 9, which is the story that this spins out of, and really interesting issue that where they were at San Diego Comic Expo. So if you've not been reading that, go check it out. It's a fun. It's a little heavy at times because it's very meta and it's very relatable, especially for if you know anything about the comic industry and how rights used to be and all this kind of stuff. It's very interesting in that way. Classic Zdarsky humor injected in that as well. But here we're issue 4 of the Domain, which is about the comic that they're creating. We've got all 3 of them, using the powers and not really syncing up too well. And in the meantime, you've got these other aliens that are hunting for it. And now it looks like they're going to have to deal with that threat finally in this issue, but we'll see how that happens. It's been a fun book for me. Uncanny X-Men number 4, last issue, Wolverine decided I'm going to go off on my own again, and he gets confronted by the Hag. And that's kind of where I'm guessing we're going to pick up with this. It says Rogue finds herself alone against the power of darkness, and she is completely unprepared for it. She has no backup, no way out. And it also says a secret of the new recruits is revealed. Is one of them the Inling that will destroy all of mutant kind? So, really enjoying this book. It also says in the darkness awaits Saragon. So yeah, it's Rogue now against this the Hag Saragon. So we're gonna see how that plays out and what these new recruits have in store for mutant kind, I guess. So sounds pretty heavy. And then finally, Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 10. The lead line to this is J. Jonah Jameson, Ben Parker, and the Green Goblin collide. So we got Ben Parker and J. Jonah taking center stage as they investigate in this investigative mystery issue. So I guess the focus is on their newspaper. They're digging into the Green Goblin, perhaps, and they're going to come head to head. Maybe this is the start of a rift between Spidey and Green Goblin. We'll see. But this is such a good Spider-Man story, such a good book. I highly recommend this. It's the best Spider-Man book on the stands today. But that's it. That's all of the books that I've got to talk about this week. A lot of firsts, a lot of non-first, a lot of good books that should make for a very exciting week of comic book reading. So hopefully you get to do that. I know I'm going to try to do that. But, hopefully you like more than you didn't like this upcoming week. And speaking of liking things, if you like this video, like that segue, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel, helps me grow, makes me feel good, all that good stuff. And also hit that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss any of the content going up on this channel. Leave me a comment, share it, all that good stuff. And of course, you can follow me across social media at Only Good Comics and type in onlygoodcomics.com to take you right back to this YouTube channel where we talk about only good comics. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care, keep reading those comics, and I'll see you soon.